Hello and welcome, I'm Kira Scribner, and today I'm a BookTube oldie. I have been for a very long time. When I started this channel, Obama was in office. So when I feel like things have changed in the world since I have started my channel in January of 2017, yeah, it's very interesting to look back on over 7 years of creating videos and how I've changed as a person, how the world has changed as a world, how BookTube has changed, how books in general have changed. It has been a wild ride. And I found this video on Brian from Bookish. He has a great channel. He recorded this while moving in a car, and I must say that I was deeply stressed the entire time, but his answers were wonderful. So I will leave that linked below, but I will also answer the questions. So the first question I already answered, which is, when did you first start BookTube? I first started my channel in January of 2017, but I really started BookTube kind of in May of 2017. The way that I entered BookTube is kind of haphazardly. I didn't attempt to start BookTube. I just started making videos. I am a big fan of the Vlogbrothers, and I was like, you know what? This is fun. I was living far away from my best friend. We were both going through a hard time. I'm Canadian, but she was stuck in Texas during the 2016 election, and it was bringing up lots of thoughts. And I was like, I want to make videos mostly for her, and I just talked about random things. And then the inauguration happened, and I was just so depressed, and I just didn't make anything for months. And then my semester ended, and I was like, you know what, I'll try this again, and I started making videos again. And then I kind of happened upon BookTube. Like, I didn't really know what it was. I found the Book Leo when she was quite little of a channel and started watching and following her and reading the books she recommended, and that was really fun. And then she disappeared for years, and then she came back and blew up, and that was really cool. But yes, I was just this little booktuber in 2017 making videos and making thoughts with no lighting at all. My lighting is not great now, but it was definitely an adventure. And at the time, I really liked fantasy and I really wanted to read all of the classics. I've talked a little bit about this because I love making fun of myself, but in one of my introductions, I talked about how in that summer, the summer of 2017, I was going to, read all the classics and also read all the books of note in the world, which is absurd. The more that you go into BookTube or understanding of book landscape, the more you're just overwhelmed by the fact that there are so many books. And that has gone from me feeling like I was behind and needed to catch up because I don't have a degree in English literature. I love like classics and literature, but I didn't have that and I wasn't learning that. And I wanted to like feel like I was accomplished so that I could talk about one of my favorite things ever. And then I realized, oh, I will never be able to be there. Like, there is so much literature and there are so many interesting things. And I never want to be pigeonholed into one kind of reading. I love the variety of various things. When I started this channel, I read a lot of fantasy, and then I got into sci-fi. I started reading comic books. I started reading poetry. Then I, discovered more literary books and I started reading them, and that was really cool as well. So I have been on a roller coaster of the various genres that I have read. There has been months where I read pretty much all fantasy or pretty much all graphic novels or pretty much all classics or all literary fiction, and I still cycle through that. And I know that it's terrible for the algorithm, it's terrible for any kind of actual booktubering, but like, this is just a record of the various things that I have loved. Second one is, what were your misconceptions about BookTube before you started? I didn't really have any misconceptions because I didn't know that BookTube was a thing. I think that my BookTube newbie tag was probably the 15th or 20th video that I made on this channel. And before that, I kind of discovered BookTube because people started commenting on my videos, and I was like, oh, there's people in the world. And then I also found more people and discovered the smaller knit part of BookTube. Looking back, I could definitely wish that I knew more about BookTube and I knew more about books and video editing and anything else before I started. But it was really interesting to organically experience it because I had been following YouTube for a while. I think my biggest misconception was that it is easy to be a booktuber, that it is easy to make content and for people to hear you and listen to you and subscribe. When you're a person just watching YouTube, you see everyone who's a large channel. You never see people who are small channels. And it was, I think, 9 months of creating before I hit 100 subscribers. And last year, after 6 years of creating, I hit 1,000 subscribers. And since I've hit 1,000 subscribers, my channel has grown exponentially because YouTube was like, oh, let's market that. And I think that's incredibly unfair that, I did 6 years of work and I would lose subscribers more often than I would gain them. Like, there was about 3 years between 2019 and 2022 where I went up maybe 50 to 75 subscribers a year. And that was really hard. It was really hard to feel motivated and encouraged and desirous of making content because I am making this for myself, but like, it is hard when you feel like you're talking into a void. And I felt that for a lot of the time that I'm making content. It's really hard to feel like you're saying all these words and you're trying and you're thinking about things deeply, and then there's no response. That was really hard. And I think that I've also learned how much I struggle with feeling like I can express myself because of that. I think I have great ideas, and I definitely get the wind in my sails knocked out a lot. Like I get too nervous and too stressed because I'll put lots of effort into something and no one will ever see it. And then I will like, okay, well, next time, like I'll have these great thoughts and I'll keep them in my own brain. And I'm trying to be more adventurous. I'm trying to be more creative. And I have been really lucky over the last year. My channel is almost at 1,500 after, taking 6 years to get 1,000. So like, wow. I definitely started BookTube because I wanted to talk about books and I wanted people to hear my thoughts on books. And which is silly because I knew so little. But as the years have gone on, I've become much more desirous of hearing other people's thoughts and being encouraged and, more marking this almost like a journal of all of the books that I've read. Because even the videos that no one cares to watch, I love because I go back and watch them and go, oh, that's what I was thinking about it. And yeah, the camera angles and the lighting and my sound and I'm rambly and all of those things. I know that that's a piece of my history. That's a piece of my reading history that I love and enjoy. And I don't know, that's really special. The next one asks, how has BookTube changed since I started? And it has changed so drastically. Like, I don't know, think of 2017. It's so hard to answer that question because everything has changed. Like, there's very few creators that are still making content as rapidly as they were making in 2017. Like the whole landscape of who is on BookTube has changed. Many of the channels that are biggest on BookTube, didn't come until I'd been on BookTube for 3 or 4 years. And it's always cool to see the way that happens and the way that, new people come into the space and give new thoughts and new books become popular. And it's effortless how that happens because it's not a sudden transition. It's all these little transitions and voices. And I love that our community is made up of so many voices and that voices change the dimensions. What is my favorite bookish memory? I have so many, but one of them has to be BookCon 2019. It was really glorious. Sometimes it feels like a fever dream that I went to New York and met a bunch of booktubers. And yeah, it was so long ago now. It was 5 years ago almost. And, so many things have changed. I've changed and, the world has changed in many ways. But it was just so glorious to hang out with friends, to, make friends. It's kind of like camp where like someone you have never known about at the beginning has become a fast friend at the end. And yeah, I have just laughed so much and done great adventures. I've also been to New York and never went to a single thing that you do in New York. I just did book stuff, which was glorious. And yeah, everyone is so nice and kind and you have like great memories and you talk to people, and I suck at talking to people. I'm just like, person. That's one big memory, but I think all of the conversations I've had with people throughout, these years of having discussions and moments and thoughts and debates and all of those things, I loved the conversations that I've had with people throughout these years. What are some of the books that you have read because of BookTube? Like the majority of my books. Like I still read random books because I buy things from thrift stores, but like the majority of my books, like I knew so little about anything. I knew what was in front of me and I knew what was most popular, and that was it. And yeah, I don't know what kind of reader, I don't even know what kind of person, because what I have read has influenced me as a person and encouraged me to be a person who sees all of these points of view. I had not read any poetry. I had not really opened up into any of these worlds. I think that my life would be so radically different without BookTube that I wouldn't be able to identify who I would be. The ways in which I have been influenced by the books that I've read and encouraged and thought about and, hobbies that I enjoy. These are many of my new books. Like I have my Dark Vanessa. I definitely would never have picked up translated literature. I probably wouldn't have picked up literary fiction. I was definitely a huge fantasy person, but I did not even know the basics of popular fantasy books. No, I knew 2012 dystopians from when I was in high school, and that was it. So the world opened up to me. I think number 6 is the last question I'm going to answer, and it's going to be salty because it is, what annoys you about BookTube? And I have to say it's the snobbery. I find it really frustrating as a person who really believes in diverse reading, not only in regards to race and class and all of those things, but in genre and age range. And I love literary fiction, and that was never an intention for me to be yes, I have grown older now and I shall read literary fiction. I just like it in some ways, but I really find it hard sometimes to listen to people refer to things as commercial or genre or whatever they call it to call anything else, and the way that snobbery can really exist. And I love you guys, but it annoys me. It annoys me so much. I like, sometimes I'm like, even people that I love, I will hear them say it and I'll go, I really want to unsubscribe. I really want to unsubscribe. Because it's just such a radically different point of view on literature and books than I would have. I'm not saying that you have to love fantasy or you have to love sci-fi, you have to love a YA. You know, I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying the openness or the scale in which people view it. And I also know people on the other side who don't like the word literary fiction because they think that it says that some books aren't literary. And I like the term literary fiction because I think it does describe the purpose, that it is only literary. It isn't trying to really do as many things outside of that. Because some people will call it just fiction. And I feel like that's even more pretentious to say that other things have to be like fantasy fiction, but it can just be fiction. So that is my little rant about literary fiction. But I really struggle as someone who believes that middle grade and fantasy and sci-fi and poetry and all of these other things, graphic novels, all really matter. The fact that some people can be so snobbish about literary and classic books, which I love and primarily read, but I find it very annoying. Especially since I follow the prizes, and whenever people are snobby in my comments, I sometimes just delete your comments because I'm like, I don't even get that many comments, but I'm like, no, I can't deal with this. And this can definitely happen the other way as well, where people will be like, oh, those literary books, they're so boring and terrible, and why should I ever read them? They're pretentious. You know, so I'm not saying that it doesn't go both ways, but I feel like normally people who read romance or sci-fi or fantasy are kind of like, read what you want to read. And people who read literary are like, that commercial fiction, as if not all books are for commercial sales. Also, people who hate short stories, like I know that's very common and it's like a taste thing. I just want people to be open to everything, and if they don't, I will yell at them. That's all my thoughts on BookTube and being a booktuber and being an old booktuber and being here around the sun many times. I would love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your feelings, your hot takes, what things annoy you about BookTube, what gives you hope about BookTube. I don't know, my hope for BookTube is that BookTube continues and develops, and I have no fear that it's not going to, because people will always say, things are ending, literature is fake, literature isn't really real, da-da-da-da, people hate literature, and I'll go, it shall continue, and we will morph and change and develop as people, and I'm so excited. I'm excited for when I switch up again, and I read fantasy for 5 years and don't read anything else, and you know, like I know that these things are going to continue to develop, and I'm so excited to be a lifelong reader.